to a business that had struggled in the neighborhood, and we had tried our best to move outward, to get out of a particular neighborhood and get to what we would call our promised land. Well, the initial setup for the new business, when you call to ask to speak at this business, I'm just not calling the name out, my voice was the one that you heard. But I quit before I ever saw that promised land. I let somebody talk me out of my promised land. I sat down with the owner once in 2001, because I left then. And he said that it's someone that gets him to a certain benchmark in numbers, and they're at that benchmark now, that he said a person like that is worth $20,000 a month to me. Now that was 2001. 20,000 a month sounds good in 2019, but 20,000 a month in 2001 would have been ridiculous. But I let someone talk me out of that promise. And even when that promise, because I walked out the door, I didn't have anyone push me out the door. I made a bad decision that ultimately affected my loved ones, affected my family. But folks, that time, I can't spend the rest of my life talking about that opportunity, because that means that I make that opportunity become eternal, as if it's the last opportunity in the world. Yes, it was a great one. It was a good one. I should have made better decisions about it. But folks, look, that's not the last opportunity that God has. That's not the last door that God can open. We serve a God that can open a door that no man can shut. So please don't think that these doors that you and I mistakenly, or by our avarice or by our bad decision, these doors that we get closed, I want you to know that God can open every door. Folks, I'm speaking a word to you on tonight, because all of us have had the time where we have literally miscarried, and we can't blame anyone else but ourselves. It was our bad decision. It was our impatience. It was our lack of moving on that which God has called us into. God told us to move, and we were reticent. We were hesitant. We didn't do what God had called us to do in that particular season. But I'm speaking a word to you tonight that we can't sit there, like Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead. Folks, I'm telling you, you missed that opportunity. That opportunity may not only be gone, that opportunity may be dead and buried. But we serve a God that said, he said, I come, John 10:10, that you might have life, and that life more abundantly. Child of God. I felt that one right there. My brother and my sister, I'm telling you right now that despite you miscarrying on your dreams, hopes, aspirations, your goals, your God-given goals, despite that thing not working the last time, I'm telling you, it's time for you to start dreaming again. It's time for you to start hoping again. It's time for you to start believing again. I'm speaking a word to you because so many times, like crying over spilled milk, we look back over our lives and we start to stagnate. We start to be stymied. We start to stay in one place, and we don't embark on that which God has called us into. You were fearfully and wondrously made. God put a lot of time, and before he had called you to be a prophet many years, a prophet, he had called you in the ministry, called you into a particular endeavor long before your mama met your daddy, long before your granddaddy tried to throw some rap at your grandmother. He had ordained this moment for you. So folks, just like that lady said, is that a miscarriage robs the excitement of the future. I'm telling you that many of us have not only spiritually miscarried, we've miscarried on a couple dreams, We miscarried on a couple hopes. We miscarried on some visions that God has sent our way. We've miscarried. We've had the dream boards. We had the vision boards, and we blew it. And many times, some of those things that God had given us conquest, that God had given us, that God had brought us into a wealthy place. And every now and then, even though God had brought you into a wealthy place, some of us have ruined that because we've made bad decisions. We let our flesh get us to a position that it never should have had us in. We get angry, we get huff, we get rough. I walked out. I ain't gonna take no more from them folks. And folks, every now and then, I'm so resolute and directed now. Now, I'm not saying that I don't ever get a hot head anymore because I come from a family of hot heads. I'm not talking about my daddy's side. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I do, but I think the older you are, I told my wife that I'm so focused right now, that I'm so deliberate, that I don't have time to argue over the he say, she say. I don't have time to argue over perceived slights because I'm a man on a mission that there's so little time that my earning window is shrinking, and that I need to be about what God has called me to be about. I can look back over my life, the back door of my life, and I see some wasted years. Preach, Steve. I am tonight. I can look back over the retinue of my life and I can see some wasted relationship. Yes, I can look back over the retinue of my life and see some wasted opportunities. I see that if I had took advantage of every opportunity that the Lord had given me, that I could be right there behind the gate. I could be right there on national television. I could be right there in the White House. But folks, why would I sit here and cry over spilled milk that it didn't work that time, that God gave me the grace, he got me still here, that I could be dead and gone in somebody's graveyard or somewhere else, but God has snatched me from the enemy's hands, that he's prepared a table again. I think we say when he prepares a table, I think we keep that in the singular. But God is always preparing a table. He's preparing a table right in the presence of your enemies. That ain't no one-time thing. God makes more than one meal. I'm speaking a word to you because like what she said, it just rang in my spirit, because she said that a miscarriage robs you of the excitement of the future. And folks, so many of us have miscarried on our dreams that we're robbed of excitement of the future. We're just going through the motions, going to the same old job, talking to the same old people, in the same old ruts time and again. We talk about what I'm finna, what I'm gonna, what I'm about to do, and it never gets done. The Bible says in the book of Ecclesiastes 11 verse 4, in the New Living Translation, it says that if you wait for perfect conditions, you will never get anything done. We're waiting for great day perfect to come our way. We're waiting for this to happen and for that to happen. And Junebug may never not be a worry of yours. But folks, I'm telling you right now, those that are sitting on their dream, you're trying to overcome the emotional trauma of the last failure. Folks, yes, you failed. Yes, they saw it. Sometimes they saw you lose your home. Sometimes they saw you lose your car. Sometimes they were all there when you lost your job, and everybody, you faced the emotional trauma. When we talk about healing in God's world, we talk about healing, and we always think that a healing evangelist, a healing word comes to heal you of the outward diseases. But folks, we need so much emotional healing. We got folks all from the pulpit to the door. Preach, Steve. that are struggling in their heads. From the pulpit to the door, they're depressed. From the pulpit of the door, a pulpit to the door. I know folks that are wrecking house and dumping the house every night, and they go home, and the next day they got a meeting with their psychiatrist. Child of God, my brother and sister, I felt that one right there. I'm speaking a word to you that we can't keep miscarrying. I know I don't want us to be a